Okay, so friends, before we get started, I just want to give some updates on the book, on life, on the podcast. First, I've had some friends and listeners from the UK, Australia, and some other places graciously check in and see how I'm doing over here with everything that's going on. You know, what I'm calling the rise of dumb fascism. I just want to say, yeah, it's pretty bad. It could be worse. And things for me, my family are okay. We're in Southern California, which really is a big bubble, thankfully. But there are people, I just want to acknowledge this, there are people around the country, especially right now in Minnesota, and really even in my community here in San Diego that are scared. I am hopeful though. I think I have to be. I think everyone that I know anyway are cautiously optimistic. It's kind of weird to write the podcast every week and then record the podcast because I feel like on some level I'm just sort of ignoring what's going on. And then I spend 45 minutes going on and on about, you know, televangelist camera influencers. It kind of feels like privilege. Maybe it is. But on some level, I welcome this distraction. Work, at least for me anyway, keeps me grounded and focused on something other than what's going on. Anyway, I just want to say thank you for all of you who have dropped me notes throughout the week. I really, really appreciate it. It makes my week. Just to give a quick update on the book, thank you to all of those who have placed pre-orders. Right now, the book is at press, and I will be sending you an email shortly with the expected ship date, so stay tuned for that. It's not too late to get your pre-order in. Just head over to terriblephotographer.com. And when you order, I will get your book out as soon as the latest run comes in, hopefully within 24 hours of them arriving. I really am anxious to get them out into your hands. Lastly, and this is the final thing right now, I wanted to ask something huge of you. If you like the show, if you think it has been beneficial to you, could you do me a huge favor and share it with a friend, post it on Instagram or Threads or LinkedIn or MySpace or Zanga or wherever you post these days? That could be such a big deal. I'm working on right now some easier ways to do this. Stay tuned for that. But until then, I should really, really appreciate that kind of support. Okay, let's get on with it, shall we? I just have to warn you a little bit. I'm a little bit under the weather here, so if my voice sounds a little rough, that's why. Okay, I'm done rambling, I swear. Let's get on to the show. Okay, so I posted a question on Threads a few nights ago. It was a simple question. Where are you posting your images these days? And I was curious, because, I know Instagram isn't working for still photographers anymore. And I wanted to know where people went. And the answers came in, to my surprise, dozens of them. Threads, Substack, Glass, Granary, never heard of that one. Some people said Facebook. Some other apps that I've never heard of. One person said Flickr, like they had been frozen in 2008 and just thawed out. Very few people, though, to my surprise, said Instagram. At least less than 5. And that kind of led me to believe that there's no home anymore. Instagram used to be the place for photographers, not just a place, the place. The portfolio platform, the discovery engine, the industry standard. When people asked, where can I see your work? The answer was generally Instagram. But now we're scattered. Digital refugees trying platform after platform, hoping one of them becomes what Instagram used to be. But if I can be honest, maybe a little cynical, none of them will. Because Instagram didn't just change, it actually destroyed what it created and left us with nowhere to go. Well, my name is Patrick Fuller, and this is the Terrible Photographer podcast, where we have honest conversations about creativity, identity, and finding your voice. This is part 4 of a series of episodes I'm calling Heresies, where we say the things that the photography industry would prefer you not think about too hard, much less talk about, and a series that might get me into some trouble, but I'm here for it. I just want to give you a little bit of a recap. In episode 47, we eased into the series with something called the proxy, where we talked about how we offload our creative decision-making to our clients. Episode 49, called the cult member, we talked about gear and how camera companies are manufacturing inadequacy. And last week, episode 50, called The Oracle, was about gear influencers monetizing that inadequacy. This week, though, we're at episode 51. We've made it to 51, friends. I'm calling this episode The Corpse. Do you see the theme happening here? Today, we're talking about how Instagram, which was built by photographers mostly, for photographers, and then systematically killed the still image in favor of video. How we spent a decade optimizing for an algorithm and then just told us everything we learned was wrong. And why maybe we should thank Instagram for dying. Hot take there. Because what it gave us was actually killing us the whole time. If this is your first episode, welcome. Feel free to jump around. They are in no particular order. And as always, you can email me anytime. My email is in the show notes. I read everything. So with all that said, let's get into it. So Instagram launched in 2010, October 6th. It was literally built for photographers. Square format, mimicking Polaroids, and medium format cameras like Hasselblad. Filters, simple filters, mimicking darkroom techniques. Black and white conversions, cross-processing, vintage color shifts. It was really a digital portfolio. Your feed was your body of work. There was a community of image makers, photographers finding photographers, hashtags as discovery, following based on visual style and not celebrity. It was supposed to be our platform, and it was for a while. And I remember 2011, 2012, 2013, Instagram really was magic. You would post an image and people who actually cared about photography would see it. They would comment on it, not just 3 fire emojis, but an actual thought about light, about the composition, and what the image was trying to say. You could build a following purely based on the quality of your work. There was no videos of dancing. There was no trending audio. No need to be a personality. Just make good images. Post consistently and engage with the community. And it worked. Photographers got discovered, got hired, even built careers. Instagram was doing what it promised. It was connecting image makers with audiences. And then it changed. In 2016, Instagram replaced the chronological feed with the more complex algorithmic feed. You no longer see posts in the order that they were posted. You see what the algorithm thinks that you want to see. In 2018, IGTV launches, which is Instagram's attempt to compete with YouTube. No one really used it, basically failed. In 2020, Reels launches, Instagram's new attempt to compete with TikTok. This one worked too well. In 2021, Adam Mosseri, the head of Instagram, said out loud, plain as day, we are no longer a photo sharing app, quote unquote. In 2022 to 2024, the algorithm increasingly started to favor reels. Photographers reported their reach dropping by 70%, 80%, 90% for simple still images. The same quality of work that used to get 10,000 likes in 2019 now gets 500 in 2024. And it's not because the work got worse. It's because the algorithm had changed. Which brings us to 2025 to 2026. And while you can still post still images on Instagram, they're basically functionally dead. If you're not making reels, you're basically invisible. This wasn't evolution. This was really more of a hostile takeover. Instagram didn't slowly expand to include video. It systematically killed the still image to compete with TikTok. And photographers who had built Instagram, who made it the cultural force that it had become, was told basically adapt or die. So you learn video, you buy a gimbal, you bought a lapel mic, and you became a cinematographer. Or you just became irrelevant. And everyone expects me to say Instagram betrayed us. We lost our platform. This is a tragedy. But I need to ask something. Was Instagram ever actually good for photography? You weren't shooting for your portfolio. You were shooting to pay rent to the platform. Because if you stopped posting for 2 weeks, your reach died. Your engagement dropped. The algorithm decided that you weren't quote unquote active anymore and it stopped showing your work. And your business essentially disappeared. And that's not a portfolio, right? I think that's more of like a content treadmill. And that's a little like sharecropping. You're working someone else's land. And if you stop working, they take that land away. Instagram turned photography into a commodity of 1.2 seconds, which is how long an image has to grab attention in the feed. If it doesn't shout immediately, high contrast, bright colors, shocking subject, or a thirst trap, it's scrolled past. Algorithmically deprioritized. And so we optimized for shout. We stopped making images that reward patience, that reveal themselves slowly, that requires you to look. We made images for the scroll. Think about the last 50 images that you posted. How many of them were quiet, subtle, images that needed more than 1.2 seconds to understand? How many would work printed at 30 by 40 inches, where someone could stand in front of them for 5 minutes? Or were they all designed just to stop thumbs from scrolling? Here's my question. Did Instagram help you find your voice, or did it just teach you to mimic what performs? How many times did you shoot something because you wanted to make it versus you knew it would perform? How many times did you look at your engagement metrics and think, I guess people just don't want to see this kind of work? How many times did you edit an image not to match your vision, but to match what you thought the algorithm wanted? I know for me, I did this consistently, right? I would shoot something that I knew people loved. I would post it. It would get half the engagement of my usual posts. And I would think, well, I guess that wasn't good. Not the algorithm didn't favor it, but it wasn't good. I let a machine, a server, tell me what was good. I mean, I outsourced my artistic intuition to an algorithm I didn't understand, designed by people who didn't care about photography, optimized for engagement metrics that have nothing to do with the craft. We edited our souls in real time to match the preference of a faceless audience we couldn't see and we didn't know. So on December 31st, 2025, just basically a few weeks ago, Adam Mosseri, Instagram's head, posted on Threads an essay titled "Authenticity After Abundance." He writes this: just as AI makes polish creep, phone cameras have made professional-looking imagery ubiquitous. Both trends cheapen the aesthetic. He continues, the camera companies are betting on the wrong aesthetic. They're competing to make everyone look like a professional photographer from the past. Ouch. But flattering imagery is cheap to produce and boring to consume. I want to repeat this because I really think it bears repeating here just to underscore it. Flattering imagery is cheap to produce and boring to consume. Jesus. The platform that spent a decade training photographers to make flattering images, sharp, well-lit, technically perfect. Their product head just published a post saying that aesthetic is cheap and boring. He continues in his post. Savvy creators are going to lean into explicitly unproduced and unflattering images of themselves because in a world where everything can be produced, imperfection becomes a signal. Rawness isn't just an aesthetic preference anymore. It's proof. It's defensive. And I want you to think about this for a second. Mosseri isn't just asking for imperfection. He's asking for performative incompetence. It's the heresy of the ugly aesthetic. We are being told to vandalize our own technical competency, our mastery, just to prove that we're not AI. We're not bots. It's a protection racket, right? Nice craft you have there. Shame if the algorithm thought it was AI and buried it. And we spent decades, as photographers, mastering lighting, learning composition, studying color theory, perfecting our craft. And now the head of Instagram is saying that is the wrong direction. And camera companies are betting on the wrong aesthetic. Flattering imagery is boring You need to make, quote, explicitly unproduced and unflattering images to succeed on our platform. Explicitly unproduced. Meaning, make sure people can tell it's unproduced. You need to perform the amateurism. You need to signal the rawness. Now, Mosseri is not wrong about this mechanism. He really is observing something real, I think. The AI panic. The deep fakes are getting better. People become suspicious of polish. I get it. And I agree with him here. He writes, authenticity is becoming infinitely reproducible, meaning that AI can fake anything now. So imperfection becomes the only way to prove that you are human. He's describing a real phenomenon. But here's the problem that I identified. Instagram created that phenomenon. They chose to flood the platform with AI. They chose to make professional photography invisible. They chose to prioritize reels over stills. They chose. It was a strategic decision, a business decision to tell creators, adapt to our way of doing things, our content priority, adapt or die. And now you have Mosseri standing in all this wreckage saying savvy creators will adapt. It's like burning down a house and then writing an essay about how people should learn to live in tents. And this, my friends, is not authenticity. His own words give it away. Quote, rawness isn't just aesthetic preference anymore. It's proof. It's defensive. We're not making raw images because we want to. We're making them because we all now have to prove that we're not AI. We're sabotaging our craft as a defense measure against a problem that Instagram and other companies like Adobe, I'm going to throw them under the bus too, helped create. And earlier in this post, he says this about Instagram's Square photo feed. The thing the platform was literally built for. The feed is dead. Not declining, not evolving, dead. He writes, people largely stopped sharing personal moments to the feed years ago. And he's fine with it because they moved to stories, to DMs, to reels. The still image, the thing that Instagram was built for, is now dead. And Instagram killed it. And now they're telling us, they're telling the photographers, the people who shoot stills, if you want to survive, you need to make your shit look worse. And the comments on his post, they were brutal. I'm right there with him. One creator writes this: I just miss when static posts were a thing. Not having to make reels or rage bait or carousels just to be seen. It's also disappointing that Meta is making AI so accessible on Instagram. You want to say real creations matter more? Stop making AI photographs, reels, so easy to create. There is another comment. When Instagram refuses to remove deep fakes because they profit from them, that's not betting on authenticity. That's choosing profits over people. There's another comment that I liked. By definition, authenticity means real, not imitation. So I don't see how the abundance of AI tools and content could allow for authenticity to be infinitely reproducible. However, I agree with a rawness aesthetic is becoming more prevalent. We're basically choosing raw, unpolished, sometimes lower quality content as a proxy for real. It's a state for humanity. Now, Instagram could have said, we value craft. We'll find ways to verify human-made work without requiring photographers to sabotage their images. They could do that. They have the technology. They have the capability. They could have built in authentication tools, fingerprinting for real media, better AI labeling. And Mosseri mentions some of this in his post. He talks about camera manufacturers cryptographically signing images, about surfacing credible signals, about labeling AI content. But they're building those tools while simultaneously telling creators, make your work look more amateur or you won't be seen. So my question is, which is it? Do you value craft or not? Because you can't say authenticity matters while calling professional photography quote unquote boring. You can't say creators matter while forcing them to all become videographers. You can't say we're betting on real while flooding the feed with AI-generated content. And you can't say flattering imagery is cheap to produce and boring to consume after spending a decade training photographers to produce flattering images. Instagram isn't protecting authenticity. Instagram is monetizing the anxiety that their own products and choices created. They made the problem, and now they're selling the solution. And the solution is make yourself look worse. Instagram lit this goddamn fire. Now they're selling you the fire extinguisher. And I'm tired, friends. Not angry anymore, just a little tired. I'm tired of the rules changing. How about you? Tired of being told that the craft that I spent years mastering is now the wrong aesthetic. I'm tired of Instagram standing in the ruins of what they built and telling us that it's our fault for not adapting fast enough. So if Instagram isn't for photographers anymore, my question is this: where did the photographers go? But that's the wrong question. I think the right question is this: why couldn't they go anywhere? Because there's no, quote, anywhere to go. There's no alternative that has what Instagram had. Not the reach, not the discovery, not the cultural weight. Photographers are scattered across dozens of platforms, each with a fraction of the audience, each requiring you to start over, each hoping to become the next Instagram. But none of them will. Photography communities only work at scale. A portfolio platform with 50,000 photographers is basically a graveyard. Nobody's there. Nobody's looking. Now, alternatively, a portfolio platform with 50 million photographers and fans and clients and business owners and couples looking to get married, that's a community. That's discovery. That's where clients look. And that's where careers get built. Instagram had that for a while. And then it decided it didn't want to be that anymore. So now photographers are scattered refugees, trying platform after platform, hoping one becomes the new center of gravity, but none of them will. Because network effects are nearly impossible to recreate. There was a magic in Instagram during its heyday that can never be replicated. The only platform that could replace Instagram is Instagram. And they chose not to be that anymore. And for some of you, maybe a lot of you, Instagram is your client pipeline. You don't have options. You now have a dilemma, right? You can stay on Instagram and adapt, buy a gimbal, buy the lapel mic, learn reels, make videos, accept the 10% of your previous reach and hope it's enough for clients to keep finding you. Spend 10 hours, 20 hours a week on content creation that used to take 30 minutes and hope that the algorithm doesn't change again. Hope your competitors don't adapt faster. Or you can try and replace Instagram with something else, right? You can build your Squarespace website. You can run Google ads. You can network locally. You can partner with venues and planners. You can go back. It's sort of this postmodern problem. We have to go back to the pre-Instagram playbook. All of which costs time and money, and all of which requires skills that you might not have. All of which means starting from zero while your Instagram reach just continues to die. Or, I think this is probably true for most of us, you can try to do both. You can stay on Instagram while building out other channels, which means working twice as hard for the same result. Which none of these are great options. There's just a different kind of scrambling. And I'm thinking about all the photographers, friends of mine who have built their businesses on Instagram. The wedding shooters, the family photographers, the local portrait specialists. They didn't do anything wrong. They weren't naive. They weren't reckless. They built their businesses on the best tool they had at the time. But they built it on rented land. And the landlord changed the terms. And here's the heresy to this whole thing. We aren't even tenants on this land. We don't live there. Our home was always an illusion. The whole time we've been the product. When a photographer boosts a post because their organic reach is dead, they're paying the landlord the privilege to let them show their own work to the people who have already followed them. It's a double tax on the creator. You pay Instagram with your data and your time to build the audience. And then you pay with your literal cash to actually speak to them. Tomorrow was never promised. But when tomorrow was working, it was so easy to forget that. Okay, so what did we lose? Let's talk about that. First, we lost reach. You could build an audience of 50,000, 70,000, 100,000 people plus for free. And it was real, and that mattered. Some of those people became clients. Some people became friends. A lot of people just really appreciated your work. Second, we lost discoverability. Clients could find you. You could find community. Hashtags worked. The explore page worked. And thirdly, we lost a center of gravity, a digital home base. Because everyone was there. So everyone could be found. And I need to be honest about something else, because Instagram's competitive energy, it pushed me. I'm thankful to Instagram in those early days because it pushed me to shoot more. When my family and I lived in Bellingham, Washington, I had a few people on my team at work. I worked on a marketing team in a software company, really creative and really talented people. And there's a few of us on the team who were also photographers. They were like really, really good photographers. And we would all post. It really became a game, like almost a friendly competition. Someone would post something amazing on Saturday. You would see it, right? As you're laying there scrolling Instagram. And you would think, all right, I need to get out there. I need to shoot something. I need to post something. So you would grab your camera, you would go shoot, you'd come back, you would edit, and you would post. And the cycle would continue week after week. We would push each other, make each other better. Instagram didn't just give us a reach. It gave us the reason, the motivation, the juice to create. That's probably not the best reason. It's not the purest reason, but it was a reason, you know? And when that disappeared, that camaraderie, when the algorithm stopped showing your work to the people who actually cared, that fuel, that creative spark that ignited us to create that, I think that disappeared a little bit too. It wasn't just that the reach died, it was that the motivation died with it. Because you weren't just shooting for yourself. You were shooting for the game. It was fun. Instagram was fun. It made it fun to create, to push ourselves, to make new things. And when the game ended, a lot of cameras just stayed in their bags. Mine included for a while. And I think about the Bellingham crew sometimes. We don't shoot together anymore. We're scattered. We're all in different cities, different jobs, different lives. But I wonder, are they still shooting? Or did their cameras go quiet too when Instagram just stopped rewarding it? I could probably reach out and ask, but part of me doesn't want to know, you know? Because if they stopped, it confirms what I'm afraid of, that we weren't photographers who used Instagram. We were content creators who happened to own cameras. And when the platform died, so did we. And I don't know how to feel about that, you know? On one hand, if you only shoot because Instagram rewards it, are you ever really a photographer? On the other hand, does it matter, right? If the system pushed you to create, if it gave you the motivation and you created good work, does that motivation matter? That's a hard question, and I don't have the answer. But here's what I do know. If your only reason to shoot was Instagram, you were building on quickstand. And a lot of us were building on quickstand. And I know for a lot of photographers, the loss is more immediate than motivation or community. It's their livelihood. I talk to photographers all the time. Wedding photographers, family photographers, local portrait guys. And I always ask, where do you find clients? And their answer for years has been Instagram. It's not one of my channels, not if it helps. It was Instagram. That's where brides found them. That's where families found them. It's where local clients discovered them and booked them. Some commercial photographers too, even product shooters, branding photographers, food photographers. Instagram was their storefront, their portfolio, their discovery engine. They built their entire client acquisition pipeline on a platform that they didn't own. And here's the thing. It worked. For a long time, it worked really, really well. If you post consistently, you'd build a local following, you would tag your location, use hashtags, engage with your community, and clients would find you. They would book you. They would refer you. You could build a 6-figure business easily, purely on Instagram referrals. But again, tomorrow was never promised. And Instagram never guaranteed that reach would continue, never promised that the algorithm wouldn't change, never signed a contract with you saying we will always show your work to your local audience. But photographers built their businesses on it anyway because it worked and because there wasn't a better option. And now that reach is dying, the algorithm changed, still images are invisible, and reels are prioritized. And those photographers, the ones whose businesses run on Instagram discovery, are trapped. They can't leave because leaving means clients stop finding them, and clients stopping means that they have no work. But they can't stay on their old terms either because the old terms don't work anymore. So they're stuck making reels that they don't want to make, adapting and dying, posting 10 times more for content with 10% of the reach, watching their business leads dry up and their brand slowly die while Instagram tells them to adapt faster. This isn't just about losing creative motivation. For a lot of us photographers, this is about losing their income. And this is the truth, friends. Instagram never cared because Instagram never promised anything in the first place. This is what we should be glad to lose, I think. I think that we should be glad to lose the content treadmill. The post daily or disappear mindset. Keep feeding the machine and never stop. The algorithmic optimization. Shooting for performance and not vision. And I will be happy to leave behind the 1.2 second attention economy. Images as dopamine hits, craft reduced to does this grab attention immediately. I'll be glad to lose the outsourced judgment, letting metrics determine quality, letting an algorithm tell you what's good. And I will be really glad to lose the rented land, building my career on a platform that I don't own, where the rules can change overnight, as we have talked about. Instagram didn't just change the algorithm, it changed us. It trained us to value reach over craft, optimize for engagement over expression, and shoot for the audience over ourselves, measure success and metrics over meaning. So maybe this isn't an obituary. Maybe this whole thing is more like an autopsy. The patient was already sick. And Instagram didn't kill photography by pivoting to video. Instagram was killing photography the whole fucking time. We just didn't notice because we were too busy getting likes. So here's what Instagram did. It turned craft into content. We all know this. You weren't making images, you were feeding an algorithm. It replaced judgment with metrics. Good, quote unquote, meant performed well, not made me feel something. Instagram created an artificial urgency. Post daily or die. And art requires space. And Instagram required constant production. Instagram commodified images to 1.2 seconds. If it didn't shout or entice, it was worthless. Instagram made reach the primary goal. More followers equals success. Even if those followers never bought a print, never hired you, or never actually cared. And I want to tell you that I'm complicit in all of this. I built my following on Instagram. I used to get clients, and it worked for a while. I posted consistently, studied what performed, I optimized, and it paid off. I got work, I got reach. It felt like I was building something. But I also shot things I didn't care about unless I knew they would perform. I stopped shooting things I loved because they didn't perform. I had checked engagement metrics more than I looked at my actual work. I felt more anxiety about posting than excitement about making. Instagram, it's true, gave me reach. But what did it cost? And I can't separate the benefits from the damage. The clients I got from Instagram are real. The money was real. The work I made for them is real. It is something that I'm proud of. But the images I made for Instagram, most of them are kind of forgettable, right? They're designed to perform, optimize for engagement. They're not bad. I'm a pretty decent photographer. I just feel like those particular images are just empty. I knew I was doing it. I wasn't naive. I understood the game, but I played it anyway because the alternative was invisibility. It was irrelevance. And invisibility felt like death. So I can't stand here and say that Instagram corrupted photography without acknowledging that I participated in it. I fed the machine. I optimized for the algorithm. I outsourced my judgment. It wasn't because I was tricked, but because I really wanted the reach. And now that that reach is gone, I have to ask, what was I actually building? So Instagram dying, or at least dying for still photographers, maybe, and this is my controversial hot take, might be the best thing that could happen to photography. Not because there's a better platform waiting. There isn't. Flickr is not coming back, friends. But because the absence of a platform forces a question we've all been avoiding. And that's this. Why are you making images? If it's not for likes, what is it for? If it's not for reach, what's the point? If it's not for the algorithm, who are you making it for? And maybe the answer is for yourself. For the 10 people who actually give a shit about your work. Or for the clients who will pay you. For prints on walls. For the slow accumulation of a body of work that actually means something. Or simply for the craft itself. Instagram trained us to believe that if nobody saw it, the work didn't matter. But photographers made meaningful work for 150 years before Instagram. And they will make meaningful work after Instagram is gone. And if Instagram just disappeared tomorrow, just removed itself from all of our phones, would you still be a photographer? Not would you have a way to show your work, but would you still make work? Would you still have a reason to make work? And if the answer is no, if your motivation to shoot was tied to posting, to engagement, to reach, then Instagram didn't make you a photographer. It made you a content creator who happened to use a camera. And there's nothing wrong with being a content creator. We've talked about this at length. It's a legitimate job, it pays the bills, but it's not photography. Photography is about making images that matter, images that last, images that say something. Content creation is about feeding algorithms, keeping people scrolling, optimizing for engagement. They're different jobs, my friends. We've spent 15 years pretending they're the same, and they're not. They're not. So, if I can be honest, I haven't posted on Instagram in probably 2-3 months. Not as a boycott, not as a statement. I just kind of stopped. And my business didn't collapse. Clients didn't forget about me. The world didn't end. I shot more in the last month than I have in the past year. Not for Instagram, just for me. You know, I've been trying to make images that don't shout, images that would have maybe performed terribly, images that require you to look at it for more than 1.2 seconds to understand. And to be honest, I kind of like them more than anything that I've posted in the past couple years. There's a hard drive on my desk. It's full of work from the past month. It says little Samsung SSD. No one's seen it. Nobody will see most of it. It's a lot of experimentation, some street photography, even some landscape stuff. I've just been trying to shoot some different kind of work, get out there, you know? Some of it might actually become client work eventually. Some of it will sit there forever, but it exists. And I made it. I've been thinking about this for a while. I don't know if I'm going to go back to Instagram. Well, at least in the same way that I did. Maybe I will. Maybe the algorithm will change again. Who knows? But I doubt it. Because Instagram has shown us what it values. And I don't think that's photography anymore. So I'm doing what I should have done years ago. I'm trying to build on my own land. Website, email list, that's an important one. Physical prints, client relationships. It's slower, it's definitely harder, it's way less sexy than viral posts and follower accounts, but it's mine, you know? There's no algorithm that can take that away. I'm not making images for the 1.2 second scroll anymore. I'm not measuring my work by how many people double tapped it. I'm not adding a fake grain to prove that I'm human. Sorry, Adam. I'm not vandalizing my craft to satisfy an algorithm that will change again in 6 months. Listen, the platform is dying. But maybe that's a good thing, because maybe that means that photography can live again. And I'll leave you with this question. If your work is boring to an algorithm, does that finally mean it's interesting to a human? I will leave you with that question to think about this week. Until next week, till next Tuesday, as always, stay curious, stay courageous, and stay terrible.